Hello, it's me, Rebecca. Hi guys. We're here today to do a Q&A. Can you believe it? 2K, baby. Sorry, I won't do that again. Thanks, guys. It's really sweet. It's weird. It's really nice. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on. I got some really good questions on this. I'm going to start first with the non-book related questions and then get into the book questions. So one of these questions, I love this, was what got you into gardening? How long have you guys been growing your own veggies? And what is your favorite alcoholic beverage? Great segue. Gardening, mostly faking it. I don't know what I'm doing. Definitely we got more into it when we moved into this house about 3 years ago. But if you saw my most recent vlog, my mother is pretty into gardening. She was very excited to show off her allotment, her little plot. As a teenager, I did some work on farms. There's a great organization called WOOF, Willing Workers on Organic Farms, and you can sign up and agree to trade manual labor for room and board on organic farms. When I was 17 or 18, I spent several months when all my friends from high school went off to college and I didn't. I spent some months working in a winery vineyard in France, which was amazing. And then the following year, I worked for about a month on an organic goat and citrus farm in Napa, California, and that was amazing. I've always loved farming. It's really fun. Growing my own veggies is fun. I'm mostly faking it. Also, my best friend is a farmer. She owns the largest network of rooftop farms in America out of Washington, D.C. And so mostly what I do now is I pretend I know what I'm doing and then I text her a lot of pictures and say, like, why do my carrots look like idiots? What is this compost surprise growing? Favorite alcoholic beverage? I enjoy wine, red wine. I am gluten-free. I don't drink beer. As far as hard alcohol goes, in the summer I really like a dirty vodka martini. And in the winter I love a Manhattan, which is whiskey. Yeah. Okay. I got some questions about favorite movies, which is funny because I'm not much of a movie person. I definitely, since the pandemic, pretty much stopped watching movies. I think it is a attention span problem, but I just can't sit still for a movie anymore. Also, there's so much good television out there. For a long time, I would always answer that my favorite movie was Grizzly Man, which is an amazing documentary by Werner Herzog about a guy who's obsessed with grizzly bears. Still highly recommend that. But television shows, I love, I mean, none of this is a surprise. Everyone loves these shows, but Sopranos, the first season of True Detective, Fleabag, Succession, anything with a British accent. If it's on BBC, it's probably good. Okay, moving on. I also got questions about music, favorite bands and artists. In college, I did have my own radio show on the college station. My DJ name was DJ Red Rum, like from The Shining. And I played only garage rock, like punk garage rock, what I was really into for a very long time. I would die for Ty Segall. Anybody has the hookup? Black Lips, Jeff the Brotherhood, Michael Cronin, King Khan, Shannon and the Clams, Natural Child. More recently, I've gotten into like Moody Women, which really vibes with my reading style. Thinky, Moody Women, you know, we're all doing it. Phoebe Bridgers, Julian Baker, Soccer Mommy, Mannequin Pussy, Japanese Breakfast. I love Waxahachie. Okay, fine, I'll pull up a playlist. God, you're so needy. Sharon Van Etten, Big Thief, or anything Adrian Lenker. Julia Jacqueline, love her. Lucy Dacus, love her. I'm really into Faye Webster right now. I put her in like a lot of my reels. I love her. Yeah. Cool. Great. Sun, Moon, Rising. I'm a Gemini. Gemini Sun. For a long time, I felt like I was a Virgo. I'm a Virgo. I'm like a textbook Virgo. And when I was getting my most recent tattoo, my tattoo artist was like, "What sign are you?" And I was like, "I'm a Gemini, but I'm really a Virgo." And she was like, "Well, does Virgo appear in your chart?" And I was like, I don't know. So yeah, I downloaded CoStar. So I'm a Gemini Sun, something Moon. Oh, Pisces Moon, obviously. Got my feelings. Virgo Ascendant. So I'm super Virgo appearing to the world. Cool. Somebody asked about my tattoos. I have 9 tattoos. My first tattoo was the Graceland Mansion. Then I got this crawfish in New Orleans, which is definitely like the least skillful, the least cute. I got this Katrina in Charlottesville in college, and this flower in Oakland when I lived in California. My two best friends and I did these little silly tiny stick and poke mountain ranges one night. I have a reading tattoo for my love of reading. I've got Hush on my leg. And then recently I went and got these silly happy sad daisies. So there's a little happy daisy and a little sad daisy. I got these done in Providence last month and they were stick and poke, and I'll never go back to machine gun. They were amazing. They didn't hurt. They healed so fast. You don't have to listen to that terrible sound. Stick and poke is the way to go. Here's a question that says, can you give Hushpuppy some pets? I assume they mean, will you pet Hushpuppy for me? Which, duh, yes, I will. But also, I really like to imagine it's like, can you give him some siblings? In which case, Justin, let's get a puppy! Also, somebody asked about our adopting Hushpuppy story. When I graduated college, Justin and I moved to Washington, D.C., and I got a job as a teacher, and Justin was finishing his dissertation. So he was in his last year of grad school. He didn't have to go to courses or anything. He moved to DC with me, but I was working full-time and I was going to grad school full-time, so I was never home. Justin had no reason to leave the house because all he had to do was write 1,000 pages. It was a dark time, and basically I was like, we need to get a dog so that you have to leave the house occasionally. And Justin's like, I don't really want a dog. Joke's on him because he and Hushpuppy are best friends. Hushpuppy and Justin are much closer than I am to either of them. We went to the Washington Animal Rescue League, which doesn't exist anymore in DC. It's now just the Humane Society. We walked in, chatted with Hushpuppy, whose name at the time was Jagger. And Hushpuppy went home with us, and it cost us $200, and we did not have it. And it was like a huge investment, and it felt like a lot of money. Yeah, it was the best decision ever. That was 2013, 8 years ago. And he was already about 2 years old at the time. He was full grown, so he's about 10. He had been abandoned and found in an abandoned home somewhere in Virginia and taken to the shelter, and that's how we got him. Hushpuppy. And Justin named him after the movie The Beasts of the Southern Wild. Heroine, the protagonist in that movie, is a girl named Hushpuppy. Favorite podcasts? I love podcasts for walking the dog, especially Invisibilia, The Experiment. I've talked on here before, I really like the Resistance podcast. I listen to the New York Times Book Review podcast every Friday. I listen to Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. I was on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. If you call me, my voicemail is Mo Rocca. Some of you won't know what that means. Most people who leave me messages are very confused, but some of you are NPR nerds and you will know what that means. I also really love the New Yorker fiction podcast, where they invite authors who've been published in the New Yorker, come in and pick any story that's ever been published in the New Yorker and read it and talk about it. Not only do you get to listen to a great New Yorker short story from the archives, but then you get to hear, like T.C. Boyle talk about it like they would in a graduate level seminar. That's a really good one. Someone asked me to share my skincare routine, thought you guys would never ask. The reality is that I didn't have a skincare routine until very recently. Ben Green, shout out to my boy Ben Green, is the skincare guru. If you have any skincare questions, that's who you go to. I hit him up and I was like, your girl is 30, what does she need to be doing? Morning, I wash my face. Usually I use this pH balancing face stuff. I'll put it right here. I'm out right now, so I'm just using like Cetaphil. It's fine. In the morning, I do vitamin C serum. This is what Ben told me to do. He didn't tell me this one, but this one was in my price range. Should I link it? I guess I'll link it below. Moisturize, just CeraVe Daily Moisturizing, and sunblock. I use this sunblock. I don't remember who, I think a friend turned this on to me. It smells terrible. If it smells bad, it must be working. In the evening, wash my face, and then this is also a Ben Green. He was like, girl, you're not doing retinol? Now I am. And every day when I put my little pea-sized retinol on, I think Ben would be so proud of me. Every other day. And that's it. Pretty sure you can get all these things at the drugstore. You're probably really disappointed whoever asked that question. Okay, I think that's all the non-book related questions. So now let's talk about books. Okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed by the amount of questions. Wishing I thought more about what I was gonna say so that I would sound cooler. I will say that some of these questions I'm not gonna answer because I answered them in my 1K Q&A. Questions like books that you recommend, favorite books you reread, stuff like that. So check that video out. I'll link it downstairs. And if I missed your question, it's because I'm nervous and I'm freaking out a little bit, and I'll get to it next time. Or send me a DM. Okay, this question I love so much. It says, I know you love Cusk, Levy, Moshfegh, Awful, Ali Smith, etc., but what are some of your favorite POC femme writers? First of all, that is the sweetest message, because you're right, I do love all those people, and the fact that you know that about me, it is wild to me when people recommend me books. And like, somebody sent me a DM yesterday or today that was like, have you read this book? It has an unnamed female narrator and there's no quotation marks, so there's no dialogue, and these are the themes. And I was like, that, I can't believe there are people who like care enough about me out there to like know what I like in a book. It's very sweet. So yes, I do love all of those people, and I love this question, and it is absolutely true that I do not read enough women of color. I definitely do read some, so let's talk about it. I really love Ya Jessie. Homegoing was one of the first books that my book club read 5 years ago when I really got back into reading as an adult, and then I read also Transcendent Kingdom and really loved it. Zadie Smith is also a longtime favorite. I've always adored her. I've gotten really into Asian writers this year and Asian American writers, specifically gotten really into Japanese literature. Japanese literature has a very specific tone that I really love. Yoko Tawada. Convenience Store Woman is written by Sayaka Murata. Meiko Kawakami. Murakami. I've always been a really big fan of Jacqueline Woodson. She's the only person who I will like veer into young adult fiction for. I know that I need to do more of that, but I'm not super motivated to. But Another Brooklyn is amazing, and anytime Woodson puts something out and it like straddles that young adult line, I'm all about it. I really love Sarah Broom and her memoir Yellow House about redlining in New Orleans and her experience growing up there. So am obsessed, freakishly obsessed with Carla Conejo Villavicencio. She lives here in New Haven where I live, and I don't want to say I stalk her because this is going on the internet, but I do like to look for her and like attend every talk that I could possibly attend and recommend her book to everyone. She is hilarious and kooky and phenomenal, and if you have not read Undocumented Americans, you absolutely should. Oh, Luster. I'm obsessed with Luster, Raven Leilani. I cannot wait for the next Leilani. If you think of any BIPOC writers who I need to check out, please let me know. There are definitely thinky women of color, and they're writing great stuff, and there are a lot of reasons why they're not receiving as much publicity as the Rachel Cusks and Ali Smiths of the world. And if you can think of any thinky women of color, I think Raven Leilani is a great example of a thinky woman of color. Please, 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 please drop it in the comments. Someone asked if I were to write a book, what would it be about? I'm not gonna write a book. Something I've read multiple places from different writers, most recently in the Alexander Chee essay collection, is that people who write books feel like they don't want to, they have to. They have a book that has to come out. Being a writer is a life of struggle, and if you don't have to do it, you would choose to do anything else. And that's how I know it's not for me. If I did, I'm sure it would be about a thinky woman. Shocking. It would probably be about a thinky Jewish woman in her 30s in academia. I love this question. A book that you love but would never read again? Honestly, all of them. I'm not a huge rereader. I want to be a rereader. When I finish books that I love, so often I think, God, this would benefit from a reread. I would love to reread this. I would get so much out of rereading this. But there's so many books in the world, I cannot bring myself to reread them. The one that really comes to mind as an answer to this question is the Neapolitan novels. I freaking love the Neapolitan novels. I owe Ferrante a lot for getting me back into reading and falling in love with reading as an adult. I devoured those books. When I finished them, I went through a depression. Will I never find another book that I love this much? But it is 4 books. They're thick boys. There's just too much in the world to read. I'm probably never gonna read those again. Do I need a copy of all 4 on my shelf? Yes. Yes, I do. Can you have it? No, you cannot. Gotta keep it there, but will I read it? Probably never. Suggestions for how to continue reading during the school year when you might feel unmotivated. 2 things. 1 is tinies. Quick books pack such a punch. You get that accomplishment of finishing a book, but it's a low stakes. So find some tinies that you love. I think Department of Speculation, because you can drop in and out because it's got that fragmentary thing, so you don't need to worry about losing the thread. So yeah, tiny fragmentary novels are great for this. Ongoingness by Manguso, or Little Labors by Rivka Galshan, or Department of Speculation by Jenny Offal. Those would be my 3. Pick them up. Also, earlier I talked about that short story podcast. Put a short story podcast in and go for a walk, because you're probably not getting enough walks in as well as not getting enough reading in. But also just like, don't stress. Books will always be there. Least favorite tropes in books. Fighting. I hate fights. Anything that's like supposed to be scintillatingly dramatic, scandalizing, any sort of a scandal. Not into it. Feels like a cop-out to me. I talked about this recently, but one of my biggest pet peeves with books is when it has an overarching metaphor or theme that's clear throughout its building, and then they make a big climactic argument where one character explicitly says the theme. And it's like, can't you see? The earth is crumbling. Can't you see that this has been about love all along? I hate that. I hate when books think you're dumb. When books spell things out because they're assuming that you're dumb. I hate when you're watching TV and in the first episode, a character gets a phone call and just explains all the background knowledge to you, the viewer, pretending it's on the phone. They're like, no, I can't because my mother is in the hospital because she has had cancer for the last 6 months and I am getting a divorce. Let us figure it out on our own. We don't need to be treated like babies. So being treated like an idiot is a pet peeve for me in any type of art. The joy for me is figuring it out. So please don't tell me what to think or know or believe about your work. Someone asked me for my favorite and least favorite books I read in school. I love that question. In high school, we read Ernest Hemingway, and I got very into Hemingway. Truman Capote, and I got really into Truman Capote in high school. My high school did this amazing transcendentalism unit where we read Dickinson, Whitman, Thoreau, Emerson, and it was amazing, and it was life-changing. Hawthorne, of course. I love the transcendentalist period and that American tradition, and that is one of the things I credit with my love of literature from high school for sure. In college, I minored in English, so I took like all the survey courses starting with like Beowulf all the way through the Beat poets. My least favorite thing I ever read in college was absolutely Uncle Tom's Cabin. I almost got into a fight with my professor about that one. I read a lot of Foucault in college, which at the time made me feel very cool. And now I'm very grateful because it's referenced in like every Maggie Nelson. Foucault is very in, it feels like. Foucault, Hannah Arendt, people I read in college, really making the comeback in literary criticism right now, so I'm glad I have that background info. What author will you never read again? I mean, lots of white men from my youth. I have read enough Walt Whitman for a lifetime. Loved it, love Walt Whitman. He does not deserve any more minutes of my time. I had a question on here about what is a book that really influenced the way you read or influenced your reading life. Absolutely, without a doubt, Infinite Jest. I loved reading Infinite Jest. It took me an entire summer in college. Blew my mind open. It was like, whoa, this is what a book can do. This is what a book can be. This is amazing. I will absolutely never read that, or probably any David Foster Wallace ever again. There's just like too much out there for reading white men from the canon. Same for Dave Eggers. I've loved everything I've ever read by Dave Eggers. Helped me fall in love with literature, be the reader I am. I will never read any more Dave Eggers. You can absorb Dave Eggers and David Foster Wallace just through the ether by like drinking the water in America. So I'm going to seek out marginalized voices. Favorite books from my childhood, I mentioned this before, Little Women, Anne of Green Gables, Amelia Bedelia. The original Thinky Women, Amelia Bedelia, or Jo March, or Anne from Green Gables. I love those. I never liked sci-fi weird stuff. I wanted to read like Redwall, the one where the mice are like in a castle. Everyone was reading Wrinkle in Time. I couldn't even enjoy Wrinkle in Time. I'm sorry. I'm a very literal child, human adult now. I do it. I want to do it. I pretended to like A Wrinkle in Time at the time because everyone else did. I am not proud to admit this to you. Okay, I think I'm gonna make this the last question. Buzzwords that will make you pick up a book. Unnamed female narrator. Late stage capitalism critique. Interior. If it's described as interior, quiet, slow, dark, plotless. If the narrator has a job in academia or writing or art. They're struggling with writing. I love a writer's block book. Female friendship. Usually a book goes out of its way to tell you the central love theme. So if a book mentions female friendship or friendship in general in the synopsis and shuns the romantic, which is much more common, I love books that are doing something experimental in form. That draws me in. I also love a climate anxiety book. Anything about like anxiety or climate anxiety usually gets me going. If a book is described as feminist, that often draws me in, although sometimes it just draws me in so that I can read it and disagree and argue with that. I'm an asshole. Okay, we're gonna stop there. If I didn't get to your question, I'm really sorry. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for dropping a question. Thank you for being amazing. Thank you for all the good book recommendations. That's what I do it for. Love the book recs. I got a lot of questions about my house and my furniture, which is incredibly sweet. Whoever you are, whoever put you up to asking that question, I don't know why, but thank you. You have inflated my ego tremendously. So I recorded like a MTV Cribs, Architectural Digest, really cringeworthy tour of my first floor here. I'm gonna drop that in right now. Hello. I feel silly, but I got some requests in my 2K Q&A to discuss my house and my furniture and my furnishings. So I'm gonna do a little bit, okay? Okay, so here's the front door. And when you walk in the front door, we have a little foyer here. That table I found on the street. I have this little guy right here, I love him. Okay. Mirror right there, I think I also found that on the street. How cute is this little Harry Potter closet? And my pride and joy, my stained glass windows, I love them so much. And some little hooks. Okay, that's the foyer when you walk in. And then we have the living room, and another thing I really love about this house are these pocket doors. Can you see them? Come on. Okay, so this is the living room. The living room is huge. It has like 2 parts to it. You've seen this a million times in my videos. I'm gonna put you down for a second. All right, so usually in my videos, you're right here because I like the light from this window and you're looking that way and you can see these big bookshelves here. These were from West Elm or CB2. I think they were CB2. They were the first thing that I knew I wanted when we bought this house. We installed them before we had any other furniture in this whole house. And these chairs are also the love of my life, and we got these vintage at this amazing flea market that happens once a year called Brimfield. It's in Brimfield, Massachusetts, and somebody told us about it. It's like a summer-long festival every year, and we went the year we bought this house. This ottoman is just Target, and the rug here, if you can see it, is a ruggable because we have a dog. I have this shelf here. This is also just Target. It was a recent acquisition because I ran out of book space. And this art here, not sure if you can see it, it's a Jasper Johns print that Justin got at the SF MoMA the first year we moved in together, like 10 years ago. We hung it in our first apartment together. This bowl is an antique from my grandmother. I have done some pottery in my life. I belong to a studio, so I was a member of a studio for like most of 2019, beginning of 2020. I really loved it. Made lots of things, gave lots of things away, and then the studio closed during COVID. Haven't gotten back into it, but if you see stuff around the house, that's where that came from. Okay. Ignore my shit on it, but I love this little side table. This we got from a flea market in Portland, Maine. The year that we moved into this house, my grandmother moved out of her home into an assisted living facility. And we inherited all the furniture that nobody else wanted, which was great by us because we wanted all of that furniture. So this is a desk from my grandmother's house. It opens like this. How cool. It's a secretary desk. And I love it. And this plant is dead, so don't look at it. And down here is the basket where Hushpuppy keeps all his toys. These prints right here, I actually really love these frames. I just got them at Goodwill. They had something else in them, but these are two pictures that Justin took. We took an amazing trip about 3 or 4 years ago now to Europe, and we backpacked the Tour du Mont Blanc, which is a 100-mile backpacking loop that takes you start in France and you cross over into Italy and Switzerland, all in the Alps while you're backpacking. So this is a picture that Justin took on that trip. I believe that we're standing on the Italy-French border on the backpacking loop in this picture. And then this is the picture, we also went to Paris on that trip, and this is a picture of Paris that Justin took. Okay, and then here's the second half of the living room. This is my dog. His name is Hushpuppy. This couch is from Craigslist, and we've had it for a long, long time. We had it in the apartment we lived in before this house, and I want to replace it eventually. I had a beautiful antique rug here, red and pink, and I loved it. I got it on Etsy or eBay. And then I did a vlog in the spring where I went to California to visit my friend who had a baby. And I was gone for a week, and it was the first time I was gone from this dog's side for more than 10 minutes in a year and a half because of the pandemic. And he pissed all over my antique rug in protest. So I don't have a rug here right now. I'm gonna get a new one, but I want to replace this couch. And if I buy a rug now, it has to be light colored. This is such a dark couch, but if I replace this with a light couch, like I want to, then I want a different color rug, so I'm sort of at a standstill. This coffee table is also from Craigslist. This was a great find. We got this from this really sweet PhD student here at Yale who was graduating and needed to get rid of all his furniture, and he had inherited this from his grandmother, and it's really nice. It was very heavy, and we had to carry it many blocks downtown New Haven together, Jess and I, but it was worth it. These shelves along this back wall here, I'm pretty proud of this. All of these shelves are just 4 $10 shoe racks from Bed Bath & Beyond that just fit this space perfectly. Right, Hush? I'm also very proud of these sconces. They were different when we bought the house. This was a COVID project for me. I watched a million videos about how to do electric wiring and replace sconces, and I installed 5 of these in the house, and they work! Thank you very much. Okay, we have a bench here in this, like, what is that called? Like a bay window? This bench. This fiddly fig is in an antique from my grandfather. Great, moving right on. Okay, dining room. Welcome to the dining room. Can you see that there are lead, I don't think you can see, but these are lead windows. They have like the lead in them because this house is 115 years old. I love that. When the realtor showed us this house, she was like, look, it has the original lead windows. And I was like, oh my God, I love that. And Justin said, what does that mean? And she said, it means if you ever break one, it'll be incredibly expensive to fix. And I said, sign me up. This dining room table is also from my grandmother's house from when she moved out. It was this like very dark, very shiny finish. And Justin and I spent a long time a long time refinishing it, and I love it. This cabinet is also one of my pride and joys. It's from Lulu in Georgia. It was probably like the biggest furniture splurge in the whole house. And it has all of my beautiful East Fork pottery, and then some more of the pottery that I made. Can you see? Can you see my beautiful cup? Very proud. Okay. That's my bike. Let's see, over here we have another plant and a random painting. People ask me who this is all the time. Guys, it's from a flea market. And an antique, can you see, butter churner. Was my great aunt's. Cool, right? We have an old pie safe, antique pie safe that I used to put booze on. And I love this mirror. I got this at an estate sale. Okay, I think we're gonna call that a day. Living room, foyer, dining room, we did it. This was weird. I hope you liked it. This has been MTV Cribs. That was pretty embarrassing, right? Did you watch the tour? Thanks for being here. I love you nerds. Can't believe we hit 2K. Let's keep the party going.